Literals. So what are literals? So literals are the values that we are assigning to a variable in JavaScript. So they are basic literals like string, integer, and boolean, and there are also advanced literals like arrays, objects, and many more. So firstly, we'll just see the basic one. Let's say this is ID equals to 101. So in this particular statement, the 101 is called as literal. So literal means just a value that you're assigning to a variable. Let's talk about one more literal. So this is one more literal of type string. So it's a string literal. Let's do one more. This is a Boolean literal. So these are the basic literal types, but there are also advanced one. Let's say we can create a array of the literals as per the requirement or maybe the objects. Before that, one more variation for the string literal we'll see, that's a template literal. So what's the use of that? So let's say we want to display the address for this employee, for example, and of course the address will have the multi lines, line number one, line number two, something like that. So let's try to do that. This is line number one. And if I say line number two with a gap here with a line break, it is not allowed because by default, this double takes only allows to a single line. It won't allow you to have the multi-line if you want to do that. So you need to use some escape sequence, something like this. But if you don't want to do that, so there is an alternative for this. We can use a backtick symbol. So the backtick is also a string literal, but it allows you for the multi-line string. So I can also give one more extra line here and mention line number two and let it do it in this way so that it will be more good readable. This is fine, but let's say I want to display the information of this employee now. So I need to do the concatenation. Let's see how. So I want a variable called details. And in this variable, I want to display the information of ID, name, and he is a manager, not the employee information. So I'll use the backtick symbols here because we need a multi-line string here. So let's do ID equals to. So if I want to display the ID here, again, I need to close this backtick. Then I need to concatenate ID here. And again, I need to start the backticks over here in this way. So this is much complicated. Instead of that, there is a string substitution we can do. What we mean with that, that is called formally interpolation. So I can use here dollar opening and closing curly brackets, and here I can mention my variable name. In the same way I can do for name. I can mention here the employee name and his manager. This also will do it in this way. And let's console. Let's see the output. Yes, we are able to see the multi-line string over here. Let's try to do this without string interpolation. So how it will work. So let's details version 2, for example. So this is a traditional way of the string concatenation. So we'll say ID and we need to give string concatenate with ID here. Then again, we need a name here, but we need an extra new line. So we need to mention slash n here. And again, let's concatenate here with employee name. Then again is manager. Yes. So let's see the output for the V2 as well. Yeah, we are getting the similar output, but you can compare the difference between this and this one. So here we are solving the two problems. One is we are not using this slash in the escape sequence. We are directly using the line given in editor itself. And the string interpolation here where we are directly using the variables and here we are concatenating. So in this particular syntax, we are using different strings and concatenating together. And in this syntax, we are just using one single string, which will reduce you a lot of errors when the string size will become bigger. Let's talk about the one more new literal here of array type. So I want to define an array, for example. So I can simply create 10, 20, 30. So this is an integer array. So this array is called as literal here in this case. So this is the way literal we understood. Literal can be of basic type, advanced, and many more. We are going to see in much more details for all these arrays, string concatenation in detail. This is just an explanation about a literal. One more literal I would like to introduce here you now, just a basic one, the object literal. But of course, the detail of that we'll see much later in the upcoming module. So let's say let employee object here, the ID equal to 101, employee name, then is manager. So here one more object we are using, that object is being assigned to this particular employee variable. Right now, don't go in the complications of this object. So this object you are assigning, so this object value is called as literal object literal in this case. So hope you understand how exactly the literal works in the JavaScript.